Shalom, family. We got something to talk about here. And I don't think it's any surprise that, there are many in this society that don't want to see our rise. And thank you to anybody that contribute. Vinny01, thank you for becoming a new member. I really appreciate it. Or anybody that gives contributions. And I did not thank you. I'm taking the time to thank you now. Sometimes I don't see everything on the screen, but I think that is being done on purpose. So, anyway, we have a Florida senator, a state senator, that is trying to put measures in place to block any future reparations to the residents down in Florida. You have to understand, these people are afraid. They are literally watching their fall and watching our rise. And psychologically, it's jacking them up right now. It is. And there's nothing they can do to stop it. They're watching every day, their society is falling. Everything is coming unhinged. We see all of the infighting that's going on in politics, especially. It's been very heavily publicized about the GOP and the big divisions and all the fighting they're doing up on Capitol Hill with each other. They can't see eye to eye on nothing. That's all been out there. But don't believe for 1 second the Democrats aren't doing any better. But I want y'all to take notice to something. Whenever these politicians come forward, because he's not the only one that have said these things, there have been others. You notice nobody from the Democratic Party says anything when they say they're going to put amendments in place to block Black residents from getting reparations. You notice no one from the Democratic Party steps forward and say, well, whatever measure you put forward, we're going to block, or they speak against it. You notice how you never hear anything out of the Democratic Party when the senators rise up to do these things. And it's been other senators in other states as well. These people seriously don't want us to rise any higher than we are right now. And they have kept us in this place through heavy sabotaging. They had to heavily sabotage us and for centuries to keep us where we are now. Thank you, Judas Lion, for the super chat. Jacob will rise at Esau's demise. You ain't never lie. So, and it also tells you they have a serious fear of us getting reparations. They are afraid. You know, you don't do stuff like this unless there is something that is indicating that it is possible that we will get something. So let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into this story. So, this is a senator in Florida. He proposes an amendment to ban reparation payments to Black residents in the state. Now, just take notice when anybody else in the society receive reparations, you never heard or seen a politician coming forward to say they want to ban reparation. They didn't ban it for uh, Jews. They did not ban anything for the Native Americans, the Japanese. In fact, anybody that's non Black, they never jumped up and said this. This is nothing but pure 100% racism because we are the only group that they will do something like this to. I bet you when other reparations came through, I bet you this man didn't object even once. But the thought of us getting money sends him over the edge to the point where he wants to put an amendment in to ban us from getting reparations. Florida, I don't know who this man is. I don't live in Florida, but when his time for reelection come up, you need to get this fool out of office immediately. All right. So let's get into it. A Republican state senator from Florida introduced a constitutional amendment on Monday, November 27th, aimed to prohibit the state and all local level governments from paying reparations to Black residents for slavery. So he doesn't even want a task force formed for this. He's shutting it all down, at least attempting to. Okay, so this is Senator, I think it's called Blaze Ngaglia of Spring Hill, who is a former chairman for the state Republican Party, proposed the amendment, which will come up for consideration during the next legislative session in January 2024, with the goal of putting the issue on the ballot in November. The amendment would prohibit the state, county, municipality, and other political subdivisions from paying any compensation in the form of reparations to an individual who is a descendant of an enslaved individual who lived in the United States before December 1865. However, both the Florida Senate and House would have to approve the measure by a 60% majority vote before state residents would get their say at the ballot box. A similar resolution was expected to be filed in the House. Reparations have remained a controversial subject. That's only because of racism. That's why it's controversial among lawmakers who have struggled for decades to find a compensation resolution following the end of slavery after the Civil War. The issue has reignited debate in Washington as progressive Democrats recently criticized President Joe Biden for not taking any meaningful actions on reparations since he took office 3 years ago, and he's not going to. Remember, this man was a segregationist, and you can best believe he still is. Okay. This man ain't about to give us nothing. If you look at all of Joe Biden's political career, he has never given us anything except for a crime bill to mass incarcerate us. He's willing to give us that. But reparations, no, he doesn't have that kind of background. So you can rest assured he's not looking to have that in his political future either. That's why he avoids the topic because he don't care about us like that. Let's be real, he doesn't. So it goes on, and I know we all hate this term. People of color have been turned off for a while because no conversation at all about reparations. If you're talking about the Black community, Congressman Jamal Bowman told MSNBC Alex Wagner during an interview, but we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars every year on weapons and war, but we can't even have a conversation about reparations. Those things are happening right now. Yes, and they don't care. And I got a video coming up. Ukraine is claiming they're out of money, y'all. Ukraine is claiming after all the money, free taxpayer money that have been forked over to Ukraine, they are claiming they don't have money. Personally, I think it is a bunch of BS and a way to get even more money sent to them. But this is what they're claiming, and I'll do that video later. So, ladies and gentlemen, in response, the White House spokesperson issued a statement Monday, November 27th, saying President Biden believes that the legacy of slavery is a stain on our nation conscious and that we must root it out of systemic racism that continues to plague our laws, policies, and our culture. Yes, but he's been sitting there for 3 years and he hasn't done not one of these things that you just mentioned. He hasn't done none of it. He has not changed the law. If he wants to change the laws to get rid of systemic racism, then let's start with qualified immunity, which he is deeply opposed to getting rid of. Let's start by giving us a hate crime bill, which he doesn't even talk about at all. In fact, no one in Congress or the Senate talk about doing a hate crime bill for the Black community. It's not even part of a conversation. And we know darn well reparations isn't. So, I mean, you can keep coming and posting this load of garbage on the White House webpage until he gets off his butt and does some of the things that we want, then this is nothing but a fistful of nothing. That's all it is. In line with that goal, the president has supported Congress efforts to study reparation. We don't need no more studies. We y'all need to stop using the word study. Reparations is a necessity. It does not need to be studied any more than you studied when those other groups got reparations. It doesn't need to be studied no more than when you gave money to Ukraine. You didn't have to study nothing about them before giving them billions upon billions of dollars. And now you're doing the same thing with Israel. And I sure didn't hear no studies about that either. You can miss us all with that. Yeah, studies because you're not spending any money. See, you gotta look at what they're doing. A study, they're not it doesn't cost them a dime. They're not putting up a dime to do these studies. Yeah, so anything that is not gonna cost them, yeah, they're all for it. All right, and the continued impacts of slavery. All right, so they added the administration was continuing to advance racial equity by investing in disadvantaged communities across the country while empathizing tremendous gains for Black people in various economic sectors. That is a bunch of nothing. And let me explain why. Every Black man, woman, and child in America don't live in disadvantaged neighborhoods. So let's say you were to pour money in disadvantaged neighborhoods. What about the rest of the community that don't live in those neighborhoods? It's only a certain amount among us. It's not even the majority. The majority of us don't live in disadvantaged neighborhoods. We don't. So even if he did this, it would help just a small percentage among our group. It wouldn't even help the majority of us. Okay. We need to also shut them down from talking like we're all in depressed, disadvantaged areas. We're not, nor have we ever been. So Black people in various economic sectors, including home and business ownership. Okay, this is stuff we have been hearing, y'all, for years upon years. I have been hearing about Black business ownership, y'all, even when I was a child. And I'm not over exaggerating. I heard about this stuff when I was growing up. And here we are today, and they're talking the same thing from decades ago. So the president's agenda has secured record low unemployment. Yeah, but their numbers for unemployment are always bogus because what they do is they don't count the people that have unemployment and it ran out. Those people don't get counted. So the numbers are never accurate. So when they say 60% of the Black community, are not getting unemployment, that doesn't mean that 60% is out here working, so it's really a bogus number for real. So many forms of reparations have been proposed in recent years, including the possibility of individual payments, settlements, fee waivers, and a host of other initiatives to offset systemic injustices that continue to impact the Black community hundreds of years after slavery. Yeah, well, there should not be many forms of reparations, cash payments. Now, if you want to throw other things in after the fact, then yeah, you can do that too. But cash payments must be above all else. So, Biden took office, progressives on Capitol Hill have called out the president for avoiding serious dialogue on compensating generations of Black Americans who, due to a stain of slavery, continue to experience social injustices and discriminatory practices in everyday life. Yeah, he's avoiding it because he doesn't feel we deserve anything. Joe Biden, again, look at his past. He doesn't have a past of helping us, and he doesn't want to deal with this. That's why he's not. This past summer, the White House press secretary, Corinne John Pierre, faced criticism for skirting the reparations issue the day after the White House hosted a celebration for Juneteenth, which was declared a federal holiday under Biden in 2021, which no one was asking for. At the time, Jean Pierre acknowledged the administration had not yet reviewed any reparations resolution proposed in May by Rep. Cori Bush, who introduced a bill after decades of unfruitful efforts by the late U.S. Rep. John Conyers to study and develop a serious reparations plan for Black America. And you notice they're not even talking about HR 40. HR 40 was nothing but a smokescreen. It's not even mentioned. I can't even remember the last time I heard anything about it. Bush's legislation called on the federal government to provide reparations to descendants of enslaved people and people of African descent, and to formally apologize for the state sanctioned institution of chattel slavery and subsequent anti Black institutions, laws, and practices. Yeah, well, he might have called for it, but he was in office all that time, 2 terms, and he never did anything either. Calling for it don't add up to a hill of beans, y'all. It really truly don't. So all of these administrations have failed to take the reparations up seriously, and this will continue into the future. It's just not in these people to right a wrong. They choose to ignore it and want us to go along with ignoring it too. That's how they feel. You know, and you gotta understand, as long as the same people are in charge, they are trying to keep the system going that will continue to benefit them. They have no interest in us making gains in this society, and that's a fact. But it's gonna happen. You wouldn't see people like this senator jump up and do these things if there was no possibility at all. It wouldn't make sense to ban something that you have no intentions on doing. But y'all, you're going to have to tell me what you think in the comments because, you know, I know we all feel a certain way. Thank you, Dijon McFadden, for this 2 super chats. And I think you're the only one I did not thank, so I want to take the time to thank you. Yes, we all must continue to pray about the injustices that we have to face. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, well, right now, we're watching all of our money go to immigrants, Ukraine, Israel. It's going to everybody and everything except for us. And they're doing this on purpose. And y'all, they want to make us mad. That's why they're doing it blatantly in our face. They want us to get upset about it. You know, they have taken joy in our pain for 4 centuries now, and they continue to take joy in our pain. So, y'all, please tell me what you think. I want to thank you very, very much for being here, and we'll come back together again on a different topic. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Shalom, family.